So I would say growing up, I got a chance to kind of explore different aspects of life while growing up. There were certain problems that I would face on my own, and that's how the journey of the Yarn Bazaar started. The way that course was structured is we had to submit a business idea. Once I had this idea, I met a lot of people of my age running their respective family businesses. My dad built it on its own, dreaming that one day his son would join the business and take it forward. Yes. Likes to celebrate or feels that you've achieved a milestone, because there's always a bigger fish to fry or always a bigger milestone to achieve. I had not even told people that I've been selected in Shark Tank, because we could not handle so much of traffic. We were not even prepared for this kind of impact. They come from a background where they openly speak about it, right? They didn't have fancy education. He says he's never missed a market.
Hello and welcome everyone to the latest episode of IRE Talks powered by GIBS B School. Today, I'm your host Pratik Gadia and we will be unveiling the journey of a true innovator whose innovative idea, the Yarn Bazaar, has changed and approached a lot of small businesses and the way that textile industry now functions. We have Mr. Pratik Gadia on the show with us for today. Hi Pratik, welcome to IRE Talks. Your journey of building the Yarn Bazaar from Shark Tank to the reaching all those small businesses, it has been a true inspiration, and it was a very huge public demand even from our students to have you here on our podcast today. So the first thing that I want to know from you, where did it start? How is it being Pratik Gadia, and can you give us a little about yourself, your family, and your early childhood days?
Sure. Firstly, thank you for having me here. Absolutely delighted to be here. So, I grew up in a family of my parents and two siblings. My dad had started his journey with textiles. So, by around 2005, he ventured out from a commission business to a manufacturing business in textile, which is fabrics. Typically, it's very common in a lot of Indian families where, the younger generation or the kids growing up, especially if it's a male kid, they would end up going to their father's office, shop, or whatever that establishment is. My father, when he was growing up, he would go to his father's kirana shop that they had. So same was my case. Most of my school, college vacations, I ended up going to his office. So I fairly knew his business from a very young age. A lot of his clients would actually stay at our home when they would come to Mumbai for business trips. So I've known them from a very young age, but thanks to my mom, actually, I was very she made sure that I was part of everything, from a early age. So what I mean by that is fairly decent in studies, knew the business fairly well, very active in sports also. So school football team, center forward under 12, then played basketball also, swimming also, athletics also. I think I've played like almost so many sports. Fortunately, our school also had those infrastructures in place for us to, play those sports. Was also for a brief period captain of the cricket team. So fairly played all the sports. Then when I went to college, the idea was to also get some experience outside of the family business, just to see the world outside of your family business, where you're the promoter's son, so you get treated very differently. So at a very young age of I think about 17 or so, I had 2 internship experiences. Back then in 2008 or so, there was no concept of internship, but fortunately got a brief stint at 2 different companies. One was a placement company where we would recruit people for BPO services. So we had clients like large leading BPO companies like 3, Zenta. 3 was I think an Australian company. So imagine a 17-year-old kid sitting on this side of the table interviewing someone who's maybe twice my age, just to place them in one of these clients of ours for BPO services. Great experience because you get to learn so many people skills, interview skills. Also got a chance, it was although a very very brief period, just a week, but to be at the shop floor at one of the Reliance retail formats in Bombay, to learn from the manager directly there on the rules of retail, how do they stack left to right, and a lot of the human psychology elements, because retail format is very a lot about human psychology. So these were 2 brief experiences I had. Again, going to college, was very active in the cultural events, had a fest of my own, led another fest, so fairly active. So I would say growing up, I got a chance to kind of explore different aspects of life while growing up, not just studies. whether it's studies or business or other elements that kind of shape entrepreneur's life. So very fortunate there. Post completing my master's, joined my family business, spent about 6 to 7 years there, which is fabric manufacturing, as we discussed earlier. And that's how I got exposed to the world of textiles, doing it day in, day out for so many years. There were certain problems that I would face on my own. And that's how the journey of the Yarn Bazaar started.
So, while we were going through your profile and we were getting to know you from how social media knows you or how Google knows you, so we also came across this information that you actually joined family business as well when you were pretty young, maybe at the age of 15, if I'm not wrong, and it was doing pretty well. So what made you take a different direction and step out of the family business and have something of your own? Like, where did that motivation come from?
Sure. So see, because I knew the family business fairly well, the idea was always to post my undergrad, join the business for a year, because all the experience so far was from a very bird's eye view. Like, I was not actively running the business or actively part of the business. It was very, very passive as an exercise. So the idea was I'll join the business, spend about a year there, get to understand the nitty-gritties of the business, then do an FMB program, which is short for family managed business. 2011 finished my undergrad, joined the business. In about 6 months time, I felt that this is not something that I can do. Industry is large but highly unorganized, highly decentralized. And around the same time, I came across this article by Paul Graham, popularly known as PG in the startup world, who's the founder of Y Combinator, one of the biggest, most successful startup incubators in the world. And I mean, that one article, I would say, kind of changed my life. So that is when I decided that A, I'm not enjoying the family business, B, this is a new world that I've encountered, which kind of excited me a lot. So spoke to my dad, not very easy, but kind of convinced him that I would not do an FMB. I'm not looking at coming back to the family business. Went to UK, did my master's from Warwick. That was a program called Innovation Entrepreneurship. So that was the time I decided that I want to create something of my own. Also had a business idea which I was working on, which was what this entrepreneurship course was all about. Came back, but there were certain events in the family business which actually kind of pulled me back in. So I mean, before that it was very clear that I would start something of my own. It was just that certain scenarios kind of I had to join the business, and today I'm very thankful that happened, because then I ended up spending 6-7 years, and then the journey of the Yarn Bazaar started through that.
So you did your master's in innovation entrepreneurship. Now, even in today's world, as our generation has progressed, that still is a very new concept. And when it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation, it is something people think it's more of a skill that comes naturally and it cannot be taught. So back in those days when you took up that course, did that somewhere help you around, coming up with the ideation process, with developing the idea of Yarn Bazaar, or was it, good to have course?
So the idea of Yarn Bazaar was not actually an outcome of that course. In fact, the way that course was structured is we had to submit a business idea, which was kind of an application process, and we had to work on the business idea for the entire year through different modules. Yarn Bazaar's journey started with my stint with the family business for 6-7 years, facing one certain problem and then taking it out. But to answer your question rightly, what these journeys help you is become better at what is required to be done as an entrepreneur. So imagine let's say imagine a business where certain features are provided to a customer, or an app where there are a lot of features. Similarly, as an individual or as an entrepreneur, there are certain features you must have. As you said, naturally you may have a few of them and you may lack on a few of them. These kind of courses, what they allow you to is kind of either sharpen your skills that you have, and also kind of learn or pick up new abilities or skills.
Okay.
Right? So what Warwick's Innovation Entrepreneurship course, actually that program allowed me, is to kind of sharpen some skills and to pick up a few new skills. Of course, networking, so you learn from other peers. What is great at these exercises, you end up meeting or spending the entire year with like-minded individuals, learning from each other, being very curious, learning from their journeys, their perspectives, which is great, which cannot happen otherwise.
So we all watched the episode where you pitched the Yarn Bazaar, and I must say it's not only inspirational, it's very motivating to see that pitch. But what was the backstory of it? Like that great pitch, how did that come in? And
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I went there without any expectations. It was just like jamming with them live. I mean, there was no preparation that I had done. Maybe if I would have prepared, the outcome wouldn't have been that great. So it was no preparation, no thoughts whatsoever. You just walk in the way you walk into your office every day. Just talk to them and come back.
And what was the motive behind the Yarn Bazaar? Like, how did that idea come up that this is something which I want to take out, to a larger world, and I would want to put it into that limelight and that spotlight? How did that happen?
Sure. So, I always feel that there are two types of journeys. One is empathetic and one is sympathetic, right? Sympathetic is when you feel that some people would have certain problems and this is what you would solve. And empathetic is these are the problems that I'm facing and let's start solving for it. The Yarn Bazaar was an empathetic journey, right? When I was in my family business, I was primarily looking after yarn sourcing and fabric production. For most textile companies, a single element, which is yarn, has very, very high cost of goods sold. So, like look at the clothes we're wearing, right? Yarn constitutes about 70-80% of the cost of this apparel that we are wearing.
Wow.
So, sourcing yarn, ensuring the right quality at the right time is very, very important, because that single element can make and break your business. And as a small business, there were many issues that I would face on a regular basis, and yarn sourcing is very frequent. You're buying yarn almost every week because you have a factory that you need to feed yarn so that it can produce fabric. So imagine facing these problems day in, day out, daily, weekly, for ongoing months and years. One day I just got really fed up, and like I said earlier, before I entered my family business full time, the entrepreneurship bug was always there. So once I had this idea, I met a lot of people of my age running their respective family businesses, and a lot of them had the same problems. A lot of them had that idea, but for some or the other reason they never kind of executed it. I think that entrepreneurship bug that I had by reading that PG article or going to Warwick and doing that course kind of made it easier for me to take that plunge. Spoke to my dad, said from tomorrow onwards I'm not coming to office. Like that's how I quit the family business.
Wow.
And started working on the Yarn Bazaar.
And how was your family's reaction, because stepping out of a family business, it's a huge deal, especially, when you have a lineage of entrepreneurs and it's a family owned business. So what was their reaction when you said, I want to start the Yarn Bazaar and this is going to be my own venture? So
it was as expected, honestly. I think it's very, usually or typically it's not easy for, to get their approval. So they were not very happy for sure. My dad built it on its own, dreaming that one day his son would join the business and take it forward, yes. Which is absolutely fair. Most people would have that expectation. So he was not very excited about it for sure. But I think my conviction in what I wanted to do was very, very high, which meant that I knew that it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. But still, because the conviction is so high, this is what I would want to do and this is what I would do.
Okay. And when you secured the funding, again, coming back to Shark Tank, so when you secured the funding, how was your team's reaction? How was your reaction? Like what all went through in that one moment?
I mean, the answer is very dry. I'm sorry for that. I'm someone who's kind of never celebrated anything, whether it's my birthday, anniversary, whatever it is. I'm not someone who likes to celebrate or feels that, you've achieved a milestone, because there's always a bigger fish to fry or always a bigger milestone to achieve. So I still remember my pitch happened on a Saturday evening, late evening. Came back, slept, woke up the next day, life was normal. The episode actually got broadcasted maybe after 45-50 days or so. During that time, nobody in the world knew that this has happened, except for my wife and maybe one or two of my friends, that's it. Even my parents didn't know. So I had not told people that this has happened. I had not even told people that I've been selected in Shark Tank for getting funding. So when nobody knew, things are normal only. It's just that the day Sony actually came out with the teaser, that's when my parents and everybody who knew me and even otherwise realized that this has happened. So it was always like a normal how it was before this funding happened.
Wow, I think that like impact you, your business in a greater way, coming into all the spotlight, then suddenly, as you said, like no one knew. And every day there are so many businesses, there are so many ideas that come into your minds, and some of them get executed. But they are not in the spotlight, and suddenly 45-50 days later, when everything has happened, it's there on air. So did that impact your business, or did that impact you personally?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I think most of us who appeared on the season 1 Shark Tank, because it was the first season in India, didn't actually realize the impact it could have. Like, most of us were not prepared. We felt, I mean, we didn't know what kind of reaction we would get, what kind of impact it would have. And I think most of us could see massive mileage impact that happened through this. Like, I remember after some time we had to literally take off the mobile apps from the app stores, because we could not handle so much of traffic. We were not even prepared for this kind of an impact.
Oh.
So, I mean, suddenly most people in textiles knew about the Yarn Bazaar. The curiosity is very high. So they started registering their companies on the app, expecting to buy and sell this and that. So it was insane. I mean, it was a very exciting yet a very challenging time for us to be able to deal with or to cater to that increased demand overnight.
So, as an entrepreneur, what brings me to my next question is, even at GIBS, you would be aware that we have a program with Innovation, Research and Entrepreneurship, right. IRE. But again, as I said earlier, that innovation and entrepreneurship, they are some natural skills. That is the concept, like it cannot be taught. So, as an entrepreneur, do you think programs like these, or what you have studied, do they help any aspiring entrepreneur or a person who's in that master's phase, like in their early 20s and looking for a glowing career? So do you think it helps them in any way? Is it really required, especially in this dynamic world when businesses are changing altogether? So what is your take on that?
So let me ask you a question. Let's look at personalities, like let's say sports personalities, right? Mm-hmm. Cricketers, footballers, or artists, right? Musicians, singers. A lot of them may have been born with natural abilities or talent, but a lot of them not, right?
Yes.
It's easy to learn anything, whether it's a sport or music instrument. To master it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, right? Let's look at sports, right? Some of the biggest personalities in sports who have changed the game, right? Look at Michael Jordan, listen to his speech, this and that. He will tell you that every day he would shoot, right? Every day he would shoot hoops, every day he would train hard. Like, so that discipline of training, of learning, of getting better at things and doing that for X number of years, right? You can learn a new thing, whether it's entrepreneurship or any sport or music instrument. And learning is easy, mastering is tough. To master, you have to be very disciplined. And yes, to answer your question, programs like these, right, can inculcate that discipline, create that consciousness that yes, I can pick it up, I can learn this as long as I'm disciplined, and I will keep doing it daily. And with every day, I will get better at it, right? One more way to look at it is look at Zerodha, right? Today, Nikhil Kamath, Nitin Kamath, they've created such a large business. They've contributed to so many new demat accounts that have opened up in India, right? They come from a background where they openly speak about it, right? They didn't have fancy education, they didn't have a fancy family background and all of that, right? Today, what Nikhil Kamath believes is the reason why he's a great trader is because he has traded with high discipline every day. He's been in the market every day. He says he's never missed a market. Maybe once, I think in one of his interviews, he said the one time he missed the market was when he was hospitalized. So in a span of 15-20 years that he's been trading, he's never missed the market even for a single day. And with every day you're in the market, you learn more, right? You learn from your mistakes. You try to get better at it, and that's when we say my intuition is better, my gut is better, is because your discipline is very, very high.
So, absolutely. Now, this was coming from an entrepreneurial mindset. What I would like to know more about this is, again, when students or aspiring future entrepreneurs or leaders, rather, as we call them here, they take up these courses, business courses, and these innovation courses, entrepreneurship courses, that somewhere also alters their mindset and how they think, how they approach life in general. Do you really think that?
100%. At least I can talk from my own experience because I've done a similar program. 100%.
Okay. And now coming to the final question. People, especially our students, and I think the entire student fraternity, our entire community would like to hear motivating message or a final message from you, so that can be a day one for them to start, for just the way that PG article was for you, the day one to start. What would be that message for our audience?
So I'll share from my experience. Like I said earlier, when I started or came up with the idea of the Yarn Bazaar and met a lot of folks around me, younger generation in their respective family businesses, and when I heard most of them say that I also thought of it, but XYZ reason didn't do it. Across that journey, I've even outside of textiles met a lot of folks who've had a lot of great ideas but never executed because of XYZ reason. One of the major reason that they share when you ask them why did you not do it is because they say that my parents were not okay with it, or they didn't get the kind of support that they were looking at. I would strongly say if you have high conviction in a certain idea, don't look at approval around you. If Dhoni would have looked at his father's approval, who wanted him to be in the railways, probably India would never have won the first T20 World Cup, right?
Correct,
or the
yes.
second 50 over World Cup. So a lot of the people we see around us, accomplished people in their respective fields, they actually didn't wait for approval from their friends and their loved ones and their families and all, right? So my only message to all the students is, if you have great ideas, if you have great conviction in them, just go for it. The moment you start building, the moment you start showing results, those approvals and those support systems will automatically come into place.
That's great, and thank you so much, Pratik, for being here today with us, for motivating everyone, and I hope they have all made notes of how the journey is, how you became who you are today, and as you said, don't seek approval. Start when you start as your day one. And with that, thank you so much everyone for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of IRE Talks. And if you can, at last, drop a request to all our viewers to subscribe our YouTube channel, like, comment, share this video, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. I had a great time. And everyone watching this, please do like, subscribe and share with all your friends. Hope you liked it and hope you get a lot of insight. And if you do, please share it across. Thank you.